Hey guys, welcome back to Salem, Cellar. So the other day I was thinking about, like, as horror fans, what's our favorite part of a horror movie? And as morbid as it sounds, it's really the death scenes, the kill scenes that are our favorite. Well, I know personally it's my favorite. So here at the Cellar, what we're going to be starting to do is we're going to talk about my top 10 favorite kill death scenes in a franchise, starting with one of my favorite franchises, Saw. Oh yes, there will be blood. I'll be right back.
You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
So I've been a lover of this franchise since the very beginning. I remember the first time going to the movies and seeing it, and the final scene where John Kramer is getting up from the ground after we thought he was dead the entire time. He looks like a creature. He looks like a monster. And I'm like, oh, is this a monster movie? But no, he's a real man, which makes it even creepier and more amazing. So number 10 on my list is the Angel of Death trap. Now that is from Saw 3. That's with Detective Allison Kerry. You remember when she's hung up and it's like the contraption stuck in her ribs and she has to dig in jars of acid to get the key to unlock herself. Now, this trap alone is like crazy. But yeah, I think I could put my hands in a jar of acid, to like, so my ribs don't get ripped out of my body. And she gets the key out of these jars and she gets herself out. Well, she thinks she does. No, Amanda rigged this trap. So either way, she's going to die. Amanda was not like John Kramer. She wanted to actually kill these people. So yeah, we actually see her ribs get ripped out of her body. It was intense and you do not expect it. That's why I think I love Saw so much, because you have these main characters that are in almost all the movies. Like she was in like the first 2 movies and then they kill her off on the 3rd. You don't expect it, but you think she's going to get out of this trap, and no, she was unsuccessful, unfortunately. So yeah, the trap is called the Angel of Death because it's like kind of like angel wings when it rips her ribs out. Very gory, very brutal. Number 9 is the death of Seth Baxter. Now this is Saw 5. Now, this trap was not created by Jigsaw, John Kramer. It was created by Mark Hoffman. He's a detective, and Seth Baxter actually murdered his sister, so he wanted revenge. So let me pretend like Jigsaw created this, and I can get away scot-free, right? So Seth Baxter is laying on the table, his hands are in these contraptions, and there's a pendulum swinging right over his stomach. So what he needs to do is he needs to crush his hands, the thing he killed, Mark Hoffman's sister with, to get out of the trap and not have his guts ripped open. Now this trap is gory, it is bloody, and it's brutal. And he does not survive. You see Mark Hoffman, which I loved Mark Hoffman's character. I know he's kind of the bad guy, but I loved him. I loved him as like an accomplice to Jigsaw, John Kramer. But I wanted the trap to be successful and to kill him. I wasn't a fan, obviously, of Seth Baxter. Obviously, you guys know why. I don't think anybody really was, right? But one of my favorite traps overall. It is a gory one, but it's amazing. At number 8 is the shotgun carousel. Now this one is with William Easton. He has to choose 2 out of 6 of his employees to save. Now this trap has the most kill counts, the most deaths as any trap in the Saw franchise, which is pretty cool. So basically, they're all strapped in, it's spinning around like a carousel, and a shotgun's pointing at them. And it randomly stops at each employee. So he has to choose 2 employees of his to save. It's pretty hard to watch, there's men and women. Some of them are mothers, a lot of them are crying, like, I have a family, I have children. It's a slow kill, and it's pretty horrible, but it's pretty amazing at the same time. Nobody's really innocent, and I'm sure each and every one of them has done something like crappy in their life to deserve to be in this place that they're in now. But do they really deserve death? You know, it's pretty much like a death sentence, this trap. So yeah, he saves two. The other ones get shot in the face, and it's amazing and it's horrible at the same time. I think I said shot in the face. They were actually shot in the chest. I just thought of it. At number 7 is also from Saw 6. Now, this one is called Pound of Flesh. Now, there's two characters. They're waking up. They're in this random place. And, you know, Jigsaw, so the little puppet guy, Billy, is telling you basically who you have to start cutting off your pounds of flesh off your body. And whoever has, I guess, the most weight could survive. They have like this thing on their head. It gets pretty bloody and gory. Now, one character, her name is Simone, which is pretty cool. Her name is Tanisha Howard in real life. She was on the show Scream Queen. She actually won. It's a reality show, and she won the role, you know, in Saw, which I thought was cool. I just threw in there. Now, she's a lot smaller than the other gentleman that is, you know, has to cut off his flesh as well. So he's cutting off in his belly. Like, he is really ripping at it. So she's like, I don't have fat on me. I don't have any fat on my stomach. What does she do? She chops off her arm. Yep. Chops her arm off, throws it on the slab. The guy dies. Yeah. It is brutal. It is intense. And that is how they started that movie. Crazy way to start it, but it is amazing. It is a bloodbath. Bloodbath. None of these scenes are for somebody who gets squeamish easily with gore, because they're very gory. Next on my list, number 6, is the crucifix trap from Saw 3. Oh, okay, so this one's a little hard to watch at times. It's Jeff. He has to go through a series of traps or tests, if you want to call it. He runs into the man responsible of killing his son. Of course, it was an accident. I think his son was on a bike and he hit him by mistake. So this gentleman is in this trap now. He has something over his head. His arms are like this. His legs spread apart. Basically, Jeff has to save this man, but he has to do something to himself to save this man that killed his son. So at first he's like, hell no, I'm not going to save you. And then he realizes what this man is really going through. And like, does he deserve it? Like, I know he's responsible for my son's death, but does he deserve this type of death? And then he starts to like try to help him. You know, he was a little too late. The screams on this scene, it is just, I don't get like sick or like grossed out easily with these movies, but this scene grosses me out. You see his body parts twisting, his arms, and eventually his head completely like twist the other way. It is gory. It is bloody. It's amazing, but if you get grossed out easily, maybe you want to skip this trap. It's intense. I'm just gonna say it's intense. It's probably one of the most disturbing Saw traps. I'm thinking it's one of the most disturbing. At number 5 is the glass box trap. I'm not sure if that's the official name for it, but that's what we're gonna call it here. It is with Peter Strahm and Mark Hoffman. Saw number 5, Saw number 5, just a coincidence. So the entire time Peter is thinking Mark is, you know, one's with the FBI, one's a detective. He's thinking Mark, the detective, is up to no good. You know, he kind of like figures out that he's working with John Kramer. So he goes into this room. There's a glass box in there. Peter Strahm is like, get in that box. I'm not going to get in it. That's a trick. You want me to go in there and die. So he's, Mark Hoffman's like, okay, heed my warning. So he makes Mark Hoffman get in the box. Then you hear on the tape recorder, it's like, okay, you should have went in the box because now this is going to be your tomb. The box lowers and the walls start to close. Poor Peter Strahm gets crushed to death. I really enjoyed his character, so I didn't like this death. I liked him. He was a good guy, but he was also like kind of like an asshole, which I enjoyed. He was funny. He was entertaining. Watching him getting crushed wasn't really like nice. I didn't really like it, but it is what it is. It's brutal. It's gross. It's a rough one, and that's why it's one of my favorites. Peter Sherm definitely puts up a good fight to survive, but he's unsuccessful, unfortunately. Number 4 is from Saw 4. It is, I don't know what it's officially called, but it's like with Eric Matthews and the 2 big blocks of ice. So this one, Detective Riggs has to go through a series of tests. He ends up failing, resulting in Eric Matthews, who's played by Donnie Wahlberg's death. Now, I love Donnie Wahlberg. I loved Eric Matthews. You don't really see him much. He's in Saw 2 and he kind of disappears for a while. Then he comes back in Saw 4. You could tell that he is just a complete mess. He's been held captive by John Kramer, probably treated horribly over the last couple of months. He's on this machine. He's kind of like, he has a noose around his neck. If he goes off the ice, he'll, hang himself. He'll die. So basically, Detective Riggs is not supposed to burst through this door. He's supposed to wait for the time clock to go, to just hit 0, and then he can go through the door. He's impatient, resulting in Donnie Wahlberg dying. Yeah, it was brutal. Basically, these 2 ice blocks come and they crush his head. And it's bloody, it is gory, and it's fast. Like, his head just like explodes. It's intense. And at that moment, you're like, oh, because you're thinking he's been alive this entire time, right? So he's gonna survive. No, they kill him. I'm sorry, they kill him. It's sad. I hate it. I love it. I hate it. But it's amazing, to say the least. John Kramer, Jigsaw, tries to give people the tools to survive, and nobody listens to him, and that's why they end up dying. Can't really feel bad, part of me is like, should I be celebrating their deaths in these movies? But it's like, you can't really feel bad for victims in Saw. At number 3 is from Saw 7. It is this garage scene with Chester from Lincoln Park, rest in peace. It's him and his several friends. They're kind of like white supremacists, so you're not really feeling bad for them either. They all die in brutal, horrible deaths. Like, I just remember him sitting in the car. His back is like super glued to the car seat. He has to basically, I think, pull himself up, like rip the skin off his back to save his friends. He's not able to, and they just all die one by one. It is amazing. It's the opening scene for that Saw. That Saw wasn't really that great, but the death scenes were amazing. What a way to start a movie. It was just brutal. It was bloody. It was gory. And who doesn't mind watching some white supremacists get ripped apart in movies? Not in real life, but in movies. It was pretty amazing. It's a bloody good time. Next at number 2 is from Saw 4. It's the spike trap. Now this trap, it's a husband and wife. They have these spikes through certain arteries. Now the husband is abusive. He's just not a good man whatsoever. And basically the wife has to pull these spikes. She'll survive, but she'll kill her husband. It's kind of like separating herself from, like pulling out the ties that bind them so she could just live her life now and not be with this abusive, horrible, disgusting man. So she does. She's strong enough to pull out these spikes. You're kind of celebrating her freedom, but, she's kind of killing her husband at the same time. But it is an amazing trap. I wish we saw more of it. You only see pieces of it. But, at the end, she survives and he does it, like, oh, well. But it's amazing. It's a good time overall. I love it. I'm sure a lot of fans don't remember this one. It was early on, and it was like towards the end of one of the Saws, but it just always stuck with me. At number 1 is finally a trap we've been waiting for since the very beginning with Amanda. It is the reverse bear trap. Yes, poor Jill Tuck gets it in the Saw 3D film. You know, we think Amanda's gonna get it. No, we think Mark Hoffman is going to get it. He escapes it, ripping off half of his face, which was amazing. But no, Jill Tuck, which was John Kramer's ex-wife, finally dies by it. And whoa, okay, it was worth the wait. It was disgusting. It was gruesome. It was bloody. And it was exactly what you would picture in your head when you when you see a reverse bear trap and you think of what it's going to do to the face. Yeah, it does that. It is disgusting. It is phenomenal. You know, it's probably horrible that all these movies, I wanted it to go off. You know, first you see an Amanda and she's digging through this body in the first Saw to get a key and she escapes. Okay, we didn't get to see it then. Then Mark Hoffman gets it on him and he's a freaking beast. He puts that mask in it was like these bars and he rips off like parts of his face and he like sews his face up like freaking nature. But then poor Jill, you know, she did it to Mark. So Mark's like, okay, I'm going to get you back. Puts it on her and she does not survive. Yeah. I don't want to even say it was sad. I wasn't sad about it. It sucked, but it was amazing. And it's just, it will be forever one of my favorite Saw kill scenes. It was just one I've been waiting. The anticipation was there. And it was phenomenal. I know you guys are like, you're sick, but it was pretty awesome. If you skipped that one because you heard bad things about it, go back and watch it. Yeah, the acting is not amazing. It's just kind of cheesy at times, but the death scenes are gruesome. It is fun. It's a cool ending. And it's in 3D. Like, you know, it was awesome. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to my top 10 favorite kill death scenes in Saw. We're going to be coming back with more franchises. Comment down below. Let me know if any of these traps are your favorite or if you have a favorite trap. I'll be right back.